Now, the U.S. Congress is trying to renew the Patriot Act, which allows law enforcement agencies to search telephone and email records. Lawmakers insist the aim is to defend the public from the threat of terror. But many say the cost to civil liberties is just too high. RT's Gainech Jukan reports.
Major provisions of the Patriot Act about to expire are due to be extended by lawmakers. Brought in by the Bush administration as an emergency anti-terror measure, the act gives sweeping powers to the authorities to spy on people. But the U.S. Senate's Judiciary Committee is in a real hurry to rubber stamp rather than discuss and debate the far-reaching measures.
They expire in 3 weeks, and I think there is not time really to go through a major change in those.
There was no time either for real debate back in 2001 when the Patriot Act was adopted, weeks after the 9/11 attacks. According to Congressman Dennis Kucinich, the lawmakers hadn't even read what they were passing.
What happened once the Patriot Act was passed, the Fourth Amendment rights to unreasonable search, to be protected from unreasonable search and seizure, just thrown out.
The congressman was one of the very few who openly opposed the act.
We have a challenge to the essence of our democracy with the very existence of the Patriot Act. And of course, its name, the Patriot Act, who would want to oppose the Patriot Act? Because it makes it sound as though you're a patriot if you're for it. But actually, the idea of tying patriotism to destruction of cherished constitutional privileges needs in itself to be challenged.
Although lawmakers insisted that the Patriot Act would be used just for anti-terrorism, federal authorities have used its powers far more broadly. The Senate's intelligence watchdog found that without any judicial checks, government employees, journalists, anti-war activists, and others had been spied on. Over the last 6 months, more than 20 anti-war activists around the country have been subpoenaed after the FBI raided homes in Chicago and Minneapolis, reportedly using Patriot Act powers to round up American citizens.
There's ample reason to believe that when you create massive databases of politically potentially very useful information about both innocent and guilty people, eventually someone with access to that information will misuse it. And we see all the time how people who become politically engaged or politically threatening are subject to disclosures of sensitive information about them.
The Patriot Act allows security services to lawfully spy by wiretapping large groups of phone numbers and monitoring email addresses in bulk instead of needing a warrant each time. The National Security Agency has even intercepted Bill Clinton's private emails, later said to be an inadvertent mistake, among millions of other pieces of correspondence snooped on. A privacy watchdog suggests that since 2001, the FBI's intelligence investigations have compromised the civil liberties of American citizens far more frequently and to a greater extent than was previously assumed. Supporters of the act say it's needed because of the terrorist threat.
We've had 36 thwarted terrorist attacks since 9/11.
Well, do you know for a fact that it was thanks to the Patriot Act that the attacks were prevented?
It's difficult to say that for sure because when you look at court records and other documents that are available, you say in these cases there were cases where Patriot Act-like tools would be useful, and so we can surmise and suspect that they were useful in some of them.
Congressman Kucinich says the act is supported in Congress due to a climate of fear.
So you have a whole nation of fearful people promoting fear. You cannot have a democracy if the democracy rests upon fear. You cannot walk in faith in freedom and fear at the same time.
Americans have a great deal of respect for their founding fathers. And one of those wise men, Benjamin Franklin, said, quote, "Those who give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." End of quote. It seems that piece of advice is largely ignored by today's America. Reporting from Washington, I'm Gainech Jukan, RT.